recently I got a question about my winter kit versus my summer kit. I don't really have a winter kit, although I am working on it. So today I want to go over the only piece I've got so far on this winter kit, which is this cloak that I've been testing for the last 2 months. Yeah, 2 months since it started getting a little cold. And I have another cloak, Rwanda top cloak. Haven't really got to test that one yet. So we're just going to go over this modified blanket cloak. I found the idea for this accidentally online. But I think this is the best option for me so far. Like I said, it's the only one I've really done any testing with. But I like it for its versatility. I want it to be able to be a blanket and a cloak, so I don't have to carry both a blanket and a cloak. That was my main goal for my cloak, is to serve more than one purpose, like everything else that I carry. One of the things I like about it, you can wear it like this. I have the opening to the side here. From what I understand, that's similar to a boxed-in style cloak where you have the one arm free, and that's just, like I said, good for me to carry my bow. You can move the opening to the front to get more of a, basic standard mantle cloak look. But as you can see, when I hold my bow here to the side, it makes it open a lot. Put this thing down. So it looks very similar to a standard cloak, the mantle style and type cloak. With the, usually they have a string to tie or some kind of clasp here in the front. Another thing I wanted my cloak to be able to do was get it off quickly. And this one serves that purpose in that I can just grab it with one hand, pull, and it comes free. And I get it to do that by this slip knot, what I use to keep it closed. The only downside to this closure is I have had a few times I'm wearing it, one time just walking, but most of the time when I'm leaning over to pick things up or moving, it's come off. This thing just slipped off. I mean, it's a slip knot. Only a couple of times, so I guess I need to decide if that's a worthy trade-off to me, be able to get it off quickly, but sometimes I have to deal with it just falling off. But I just took a blanket. I'll share the link to where I found the pattern to make this thing in the description. But it's a blanket. I just ordered this blanket off Amazon. It's a 100% wool Ectos. I'll share that link also in the description. But and then I just followed the pattern online fairly closely. I didn't do it exactly because that would have made it shorter than I want to. Try to keep it as much of a blanket as possible so I can cover up a bit. But you basically just take the blanket and cut the corners off. 2 of the corners cut off. The other 2 corners are left. The only other cutting I did was cutting the orange trim off all the way around that came on this thing. But to put it on, just around the shoulders, take the slip knot, grab both sides, pull some of it through on each side, pull your knot tight, and it's closed. You can see a closer look. Just looks like a wadded up blanket because that's what it is. You can do it on the outside, makes it a lot easier to attach it to it. But I mean, it's not that big a deal. And I like to have it on the inside so it doesn't get caught on things, because I'm sure it would. So from the back, it pushes the swords together a little bit, but it doesn't really cause any issues. I do have a few holes in the back of it where I learned that I cannot sheathe my swords while wearing this cloak because I just poke holes in the cloak. But I mean, that's not really a big deal. I assume if I had to take my swords out, I would have the cloak off anyway. And like I said, I wanted it to be able to double as a blanket, or maybe it's a blanket that doubles as a cloak, however you want to look at it. But you pull this apart, throw my closure over here so maybe I won't lose it. And it will work. We'll just get out my my ground cloth that also doubles as my other cloak. This is my waterproof cloak. This is just oilcloth. This is the same pattern also. Same pattern, same dimensions, 56 inches from what would be neck to about back of my knee, I suppose. But this is the exact same cut as the blanket. It's just oilcloth instead, because this is meant to double as my ground cloth and my cloak for when it rains. It's not really going to keep you warm, but it'll keep you dry. I have tested that. So we can lay this down. It's the ground cloth. It only works as a blanket if you're covering up with it like a regular blanket. I've tried the, wrap yourself up like a burrito in it. That doesn't work. So it's a great blanket. At the bottom of the, I'm going to share the pattern like I said, and at the bottom he says wrapping yourself up in this cloak is a simple matter. I have to disagree with that, because I've tried wrapping myself up in the cloak, and cutting off those corners makes it impossible to cover up one shoulder. I can wrap my feet up and mostly my upper body, but one shoulder is exposed. So, I mean, that's not ideal. But it, like I said, it does work if you just need a blanket to cover up with. Works for that. Works to keep me warm. I had a lighter version of this that I ordered because it was cheaper. And it was lighter, so, I mean, I climbed trees and everything in that one. And it's really great as far as being able to move around, and it doesn't weigh much of anything. It weighs 2.5 pounds. This one weighs 5 pounds, so it's heavy, but it's also warm. That's why I switched to this one. The other one would not keep me warm when I was just sitting by the fire at night in the cold. It did not keep me warm. And I mean, it's meant to be a blanket and a cloak. That's the most important thing it could do. So it didn't do that. So that one was a fail. This one works at keeping me warm even when I'm sitting still, 40 degrees at night, sitting still. It's as cold as it's got that I've been using this thing that I can think of. I don't really check all that often. Here's the holes that I poked in it with the sword. So it works good for a cloak, works good for a blanket, unless you want to wrap yourself up in the blanket, that whole burrito thing that bushcrafter people like to do. I see most of them say. I don't really know that I want to do that anyway, but if I did want to do that, can't do it with this blanket. I haven't got a chance to sleep overnight covered up with just this blanket, so I don't really know how it would go for that. But I do know it works for a cloak. I do know laying it on top of you as a blanket will work. And you can wear it this way. Like I said, it looks pretty much like a basic mantle style cloak wearing it this way. And I usually wear it this way though, because if I'm walking carrying my bow, I keep it in my hand. I don't like to put it on my back. I like to have it available to me to shoot it if I need to. And this opening on the left really works for that. So that's my first addition to my winter kit, is this cloak. So far, this is the only one I found that I liked. I'm gonna try the called Ruana style cloak. I haven't tested it much, so I can't really say anything about it yet. But I'm gonna work on testing that one, and I'll let you know how that one goes.